Hey everyone, this is Robert. Thank you so much for tuning in to Station Square. And yeah, it's kind of been a minute or two since I've done one of these, but regardless, hope everybody's doing well and staying safe and cool and all that stuff. But today we're talking to somebody who has been also been a part of the voiceover business for quite some time. This is Mary Morgan. This is somebody else that we just kept rescheduling, just doing a lot of the wibbly wobbly nonsense, but I'm just glad that today is finally the day that it works out. So, yeah, how are you doing today? And yeah, how's 2020, yeah, 2025 going for you so far?
It's going really well. Um, I'm kind of doing a bunch of different things this year. I'm investing a lot in my health, so I've spent a lot of time exercising and eating better, and I'm also jumping into a bunch of other new things. I might be exploring a podcast of my own. Might be a while, but um, I'm also kind of venturing into some other entrepreneur or solopreneur opportunities. Voiceover will always be number one, but I love creating and I want to start making things like short films and also writing kids' books, maybe even a novel. So I'm just constantly exploring and adapting.
Yeah, I'm kind of pretty much in the same boat. I've just been doing like a lot of adapting, a lot of exploring, and just doing a lot of the what do they call it? Like jumping around, just see what's you know what works and what doesn't. So just throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah,
So
we live in a creative age, and now more than ever, people need to be creating, and we have the perfect way to do so. So that's what I'm taking advantage of it.
yep, right on. So I guess with a couple of questions that I have, it should probably be I don't even want to say that, oh, it's gonna be really short or super long, but just somewhere right down in the middle, depending on how much time that we go into each and every single, topic that we're gonna discuss today. So
Yes.
yeah, let's immediately start this off with because you said that 2025 has been going pretty well for you. What would you say out of all the projects that you've worked on so far, what would you say were the most exciting or just something that you consider to be like, really creatively challenging in a great way or just really helped you explore more about, your creativity and just sharing your voice out there in a way and just
Well,
really had the most fun. Yeah,
when it comes
that's
to
okay.
voiceover, I can't share that project just yet because, you sign a non-disclosure agreement. But when the time comes and I can announce it, it will definitely be on social media because it was definitely something I never thought I would ever get to do. Um, I will say it's a video game. Uh, that's as much as I can tell you because I don't want to reveal too much more. But yeah, I probably shouldn't reveal much more. It's very it's a part of my childhood. That's probably the only thing left I can say. 'Cause if I say too much, you can't violate NDAs. Uh, but I will say other things I've done this year that have been really in the creative area. I went to my first convention, my first, I guess, um, not an anime convention, but kind of a comic, kind of a combined comic anime convention. I had never been invited to one before, and that was a bit nerve-wracking because I thought, okay, no one's gonna know who I am. I don't consider myself famous, and um, I suddenly went there with the idea that okay, how about I bring some necklaces that I made because I love to make necklaces, and I went there thinking, okay, I'm just gonna say hi to people. I'm gonna get to know people and say, hey, yes, I'm a voice actor, and I also make necklaces, and not only did I get a few autographs, but some people bought my necklaces, and that gave me confidence in thinking that, okay, I have creativity not just in my voice, but also in my love for art.
Nice. So what was the convention that you went to?
It was called Malapalooza, and it was held in Temple, Texas.
Nice. Yeah. Because I've gone to a couple that are here. Because we recently just had the San Diego Comic Con that I
Yes, the
unfortunately
big
didn't.
one.
Yeah, it's the big one. Yeah, of course. And I've only heard so many good things about it. I've never gone because
Mhm.
every single time, whenever it's on, because I know they have it on the last weekend of July, and nine times out of ten, without fail, I always have something going on that weekend, or I just couldn't go because,
Mm.
it's not in my budget.
Well,
Either one of the two. Well, most of the
yeah.
time, it is something that I will, another commitment that I've already got going on every single time, just every year. Something always has to happen. Well, not like in a tragic way, but more like, oh man, I got family stuff or just other voiceover commitments that I gotta take care of. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And
which
for me,
is
it's
a
a big
good problem
dream.
to have. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say like, which is a good problem to have, but yeah, one of these days.
Hmm.
So yeah, for you, like going to conventions, you said that it was a lot of fun. Would you say that it was also kind of like it helped you explore, like we were talking about exploration. So would you say that it was also something that kind of opened your eyes and really kind of was sort of like a new experience of like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yes, very much. And it was also small. Like I said, I
Yeah,
had
I
never
like the
been
smaller
invited to one.
conventions. Yeah.
And I, um, I'm on the autism spectrum, and that's never stopped me from going or doing things. But I always like to start small, just to kind of get my feet wet and see how things are handled and how what I need to expect, what I need to experience. So I would love to absolutely go to more conventions if I'm invited. And I think what I love the most is just getting to actually meet people and talk to people and, ask, what did you like about this show or what did you like about this? Connecting, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where you want to, because I know for a lot of us, like that are introverted and so on and so forth, we kind of have this idea of, oh, I don't know, it seems a little daunting. Like I have to be out there and just be myself. But when you really talk to people, it's like, oh, okay, they're kind of just as weird or introverted as I am. Oh, so okay, they're they're kind of normal
You
people.
kind of froze a little bit.
Oh, sorry. It's kind of like, oh, well, they're kind of weird and introverted like I am, so they're kind of, normal. And so they're kind of one of me. They're kind of like
Yeah,
me in a way. Yeah. So that's how the connections kind of happen.
definitely. And plus, um, a young man that came to my table, um, he was on the spectrum, and his mother was like having to, explain. I said, "Oh, don't worry, I know exactly what he's going through." I was diagnosed when I was 18, and she just had this big sigh of relief, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, he's not alone, and he'll never be alone."
Exactly. And I guess something with a story like that, would you say that it was something that you really love so much, just being in the voiceover business, just seeing a lot of the people that are on the spectrum and you can tell them, like, look, you're not alone. All of us kind of have something going on in our lives. So, getting to go to a place like this is like, okay, it's not like something that you can just keep like in a bubble. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just be
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah,
That's the best place for people like us. I mean, we're in school, I was horrifically bullied. And so as a result, I was kind of taught back in school, I didn't belong in groups. I didn't deserve to have friends. I didn't deserve to be accepted. And, then of course you grow out of that, you gain more experience outside of school, and you start to learn that no, you're not alone, and you do deserve to have friends. You do deserve to have opportunities. And, you know, whatever dreams you have, they can be tough, but I don't see them as impossible unless you just don't try at all.
yeah, that is. Boy, you're just really giving out a lot of really good, just just really dishing out a lot of this hard hitting advice, and we're not even like 10. I don't think we're even 10 minutes
Well,
into
like I
this.
said, I was bullied a lot as a kid, and there was even a time when one of my bestest friends used to nickname me Eeyore, from Winnie the Pooh, because I was always down, I was always negative, and I had to change my way of thinking. I had to change how I interacted with situations. So once I started doing that and really putting in the work, and I do mean work, then a lot more opportunities opened up for me. And it's a very hard thing to change. But again, if I had not really tried to change my way of thinking, like I recite affirmations each day. I um really try to look at good news and not bad news, because there's so much bad news in the world. Um, I will also maybe write down what's on my mind and just, recite what I deserve to be thankful for today, even if it's the smallest thing like waking up in the morning. And once I started doing all that, that's how my mind started going less, oh, well, I'm not pretty enough for this. I'm not experienced enough for this. I'm not this. I'm not this. I had to change all that. And that can be very hard for someone who's experienced a lot of negative talk, especially in their youth. But when I did all that, when I changed it, a lot of things changed that were positive for me.
Yeah. And that positive attitude is something that you still carry with you every single day,
It's
like
a
when you're holding on.
challenge, but I do try to carry it with me because, like I said, this year I changed my health. I lost 50 pounds, and I am, exploring other things. Voiceover can, there can be highs, there can be lows, and so as long as I'm kept very busy doing something I enjoy doing, that's where the positive attitude keeps going.
Yeah, like I said, for most of us, I'm not gonna deny that, right. I mean, I'm not just saying, like, even especially for right now, but like, life can always have its, ups and downs. I
Hmm.
mean, you mentioned that you were bullied, and a lot of us in school, we go through challenges of our own, like racism, discrimination, and so on and so forth. But
Hmm.
with these experiences, I feel like if school was easy, then I mean, like it's the same with like if you're going through every single day. Like if every day was kind of like, all nice and, easy, like we just take a stroll to the park, then it's like we kind of have to go through hardships in order to like, when we start having these experiences, because a lot of us as storytellers, we share a lot of what we went through, and we navigate every day of figuring out what works for us and how we go through just some of the difficult circumstances that we're dealing with. And we apply it to our characters, into our stories, and with everything that we kind of do. And that just makes us better. Like, I know that it's the old saying of, okay, you fall down like like 10 times and then you get back up. Like, we go forward and then we keep falling down, but then we keep going back up. If I'm going to use that analogy as to, what we go through on a day-to-day basis. I know it's kind of like a little weird how I'm phrasing it, but I think I know that, we keep falling down and then we continue to get back up. And that's pretty much the mentality that I'm having for this year. It's like,
Hmm.
look, we can continue to fall down, but are we just going to continue to stay down, or are we going to take this as a learning experience? Okay, I just thought of something from The Lion King. The past can hurt, but you can either run from it or
Learn from
learn
it.
from it. Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite Disney movie, actually, The Lion King.
Hey, there we go. Okay, I will admit I do love Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, but I mean those are kind of like my top two. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it kind of changes every so often. But The Lion King, always one of my childhood favorites, and I'm just so thankful that I just remembered that. It's just when I'm coming up with that analogy. So yeah, um, if you have anything to say about that, I know I've been rambling on,
Yeah,
so
no.
feel free to.
What
Yeah,
all that you said for me, it's more about how it kept me humble.
yeah.
If I had been really popular in school, and
Mm.
if I had been someone who only hung out with those who were, well off, great looking, had all the best things happening to them, I don't think I would be able to connect with the real world outside of school, because the real world is nowhere near like that. And when I was being bullied and all that, I connected with those who were also bullied, who were also ostracized or outcasts. And upon leaving school, um, I still feel that, I would rather connect with those that are outside of all the glamour and all the I'm all this, I'm all that, because they cannot connect with anybody outside of their circle. And I can connect with people who are, you know, who might be wealthy, who might be popular, who might be glamorous, but I can also connect with those who are the complete opposite. And I feel that is much more humble than just only sticking around with those that make me that might make me feel more, it's like there's so many stories, in movies and such, but like, you start off really wealthy and then you lose all this money and you can't bear the thought of going on in life because you didn't have all those things you had before. Whereas I started out not having anything like that. And I don't consider myself wealthy. I consider myself hardworking, but I know that I'll be okay whether I make a lot of money or don't make a lot of money because I know how to adapt to both situations.
Exactly. That is also that is also an attitude that is really very much vital if you want to continue pursuing this.
Hmm.
Not just if you want to pursue it as a hobby, that's fine. But if you really want to take this, like if this is something that you can't picture anything else, like can't imagine doing anything else, like if this is what your heart is set out to do, like this is the attitude that you have to, like you must carry with you
Very
because
much.
seriously, like we can all just say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," but not end up going forward. But like I've been doing this for about like close to 8 years, like close to about a decade, and there's still moments where I just find myself, okay, why am I doing this? And then I have to keep reminding myself of what it was that puts me back as a kid, just being 5 or 6 years old and just doing all of these voices, and then
Mhm.
just having a reason of why you continue doing this, and just having the reason of like, oh, because it's something that gives me so much. It's given me an outlet to just express myself, be creative, and I mean, if you want to, if it's also something that I can't pay for, that's a bonus. But it's also something that you just really love, okay? And it's something that, if somebody is going through a bad day, and if you're able to have that smile on somebody's face, like look at there, like that story that you just shared,
Hmm.
with the boy that was also on the spectrum, and you're like, look, you're not alone, and there's thousands out there, like there's millions of people out there that are just like you, that are also going through the same struggles, same, hardships, the challenges, like the same, um, just having like a hand, I don't even want to say handicap, but more like the same, just kind of like, you know,
It's a different
just
view,
the different viewpoints of
a
the
different
world.
view of
Like we
life.
all have different, yeah, we all have different viewpoints of life. Like for a lot of us that are neurodivergent, like we all have different viewpoints of how we see the world, how we see everything. Like I could just look out my window and just see trees or just see anything. But when I'm looking out there, it's like I'm seeing a new viewpoint of everything. Like look, we're brought into this world, like whether you're religious or not, but I see something that the Lord has placed in my heart of like, okay, so he made a lot of this stuff, like man would create a lot of these trees, but the Lord would just make a lot of these, the grass, the cement on the road, like road, street,
Mhm.
and everything, so on and so forth. House, like it's just something that I don't really take for granted. Like I could just look at everything around me and I'm just like, okay, I don't really deserve any of this stuff, but I know that I'm just so blessed that I'm still able to continue to afford.
Yes, actually, that's the other
Everything.
thing.
Yeah,
Gratitude is so important
exactly.
every single day. I am always, I don't like to talk about religion much, but I am someone of faith. And I
Okay.
am always, every single day, I make sure I say out loud or in my heart, how thankful I am to have a loving family, my husband. We just bought our first house last year. Just all these things, they all lead up. And if you're not acknowledging all these things that you have, then how are you going to stay humble for things later on in life?
Exactly. It's all about the gratitude. One of my all-time favorite actors, Rob Paulsen, just talks about it a
Amazing.
lot.
I love him.
Yeah, where he just really talks about gratitude after going through throat cancer and just
Yeah.
having a whole community of fans and colleagues that he works with. And it's like, I feel like we should all probably strive to be that someone who is just so deeply grateful and gratitude of. I mean, even if you just have like one or two lines in a project, just working with a lot of these people, just
Mhm.
working with so many friends and family, just everybody that you interact with, just having the gratitude that you still have everybody, like every single thing. Like you mentioned going to conventions. I mean, I'm just so grateful to even just be going, even if it's just for like a few hours, one day, and just seeing a lot of these people that are just so absolutely just amazing and that just don't take anything for granted. Don't I mean true, you might have, those few that have big egos, but they don't really last very long. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
those that are
I,
just so
I try not
absolutely
to judge. I try not to judge,
yeah.
but at the same time, I don't want to be associated with people who only look at fans as money.
Yeah,
They expect them to buy from them. They expect them to do this. I mean, yes, I'm not going to lie. I would love to make a little money too, but
exactly.
I
Yeah.
just liked making someone, I would like to go there and just make someone's day and be remembered for that. And, you know, sure, I would love to build my social media, but you can't treat people like numbers. So my goal is really just to connect, and especially with those who are like me on the spectrum, because I don't want them to feel alone. I don't want them to be afraid. I don't want them to just give up.
Yeah. So for you, I know I mentioned Rob Paulson, but who would you also say are like very much, whether it's a coach or it's somebody that you also consider to be like just wow, man, they're just
Probably there's so many, but my first real, I do say real coach because the first person I say I trained with turned out to be a scam artist, which I don't want to mention. But my first real voiceover coach was Bob Bergen, who is the current voice of Porky Pig. I haven't talked to him in many years, but he saw potential in me in the realm of animation. And that's really where I got started because I did so much theater as a kid. And the majority of my work is animation and games and, some dubbing for anime or cartoons in other countries. But I just remember Bob Bergen, his energy being so kind of contagious. He was so passionate about what he did. It wasn't about the money. He loved what he did and what he still does. And that's something that's always stayed with me. And some places I've gone to, they're like, yeah, you can make money doing this. And I'm like, yes, but if you don't love it, if it's not in your heart, how are you going to make it work for you, on a spiritual or a personal, how is it going to be fulfilling for you? And that's what he taught me.
yeah. And something else that I definitely would like to share. I mean, it's not even a secret. Like, I want somebody who is not sugarcoating anything. Like, he'll just
Absolutely.
absolutely tell you, hey, this is what you need, what you got to work on. This is not, yeah. Like, if there's a weakness that you know that is kind of very not so subtle, then he'll absolutely point it out. And I also like somebody who
Brilliant.
is not, um, they'll just tell you straight, like, look, I just don't think this area of VO isn't really quite for you, but I think you could be really great in this area as long as you have the training and the as you're willing to know. And also, don't be stuck in your comfort zone. I think that's something that I've learned from him.
Very, very
From
important.
yes. And also somebody that I've learned alongside the way was I did coaching with Crispin Freeman. If you, I don't know if you're familiar
I haven't
with him.
worked with him yet, but I know all about him.
Yeah, Crispin, Richard Horvitz, and so many people that
Richard,
are just
yes.
kind of like, look, just have fun, play pretend, and just play. And also being very like, because I know it's super important to just, have fun and play pretend, but also what is something about this character? Like, what is something that Robert, will bring to this read that is going to be different from a Morgan read? Or
Hmm.
something that, one of my colleagues, what's something that's going to stand out in a Bob Bergen, what he would do, or Charlie Adler, or just somebody that is like, make this read that is completely you, like, take influence from, I mean, I know they say steal from the best, but also, what is something that's going to make you? What's something that's going to make a Robert Reed stand out from a Morgan?
Hmm.
Like, it's got to be something that you can bring to the table and not
Always.
something that just trying to mimic somebody else. But yeah, it's like whenever I go to an audition, like after this, I got some stuff that I probably gonna record for it because
That's
I
wonderful.
I always because that's something that I really love. Like this is my, little space right here. So my
That's
closet
perfectly
is literally right
fine.
behind me. So anytime I got something to do, literally if I'm bored, I'll just be like, okay, I might as well just knock out some auditions or just get some recording done. Like it's just
Hmm.
spontaneous because it just really never stops. But also at the end of the day, I go in and I give them something that, they might be looking for, and I'll 9 times out of 10, like most of the time, it's always something that I'll end up doing, like just kind of completely just something that's so not expected, but something that just works better than what they're looking for. And it's just something that you kind of want to do anyways. It's like be somebody that is willing to play, experiment, and just be a problem solver, as
Hmm.
somebody also said once to me. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, just do something that is completely outside your comfort zone, and 9 times out of 10, that's the job. That's something that's going to end up looking
Yeah, and
your
that's
work.
the great thing about having the opportunity to do one or two takes. I mean, well, one take
Yeah.
not so much, but when it comes to certain reads, if I have the opportunity to do at least two takes, the first take I'll do kind of I assume they. The second will be an idea I have, just in case maybe they're open to
Yeah.
listening to something a little bit different, even if it's not what they have written in the directions.
Yeah, and most of the time we're just auditioning or just we're just in our little playground and we're just trying out these new characters that we might never get another chance to try out for again. So might as well give it the best you got and probably do something a little bit weird in there because that's something that's
And
kind of
because
be like
maybe it
out of
might lead to
that.
another character if you're doing a cartoon.
Exactly.
Commercial is a little bit different,
Yeah,
but a
commercials kind
character,
of yeah.
like I've auditioned for, shows for a character and then, I didn't get that character, but then they're like, yeah, we want you to come in for something else though. And I'm like, I'll take it because
Yeah.
I did a voice or I did a performance that worked for another character. And that's why take advantage of that.
I mean, it literally just happened a few weeks ago. I auditioned for something and then they reached out. I don't remember where it was, but they reached out to me saying, "Hey, we got something for you. Do you want to give this a shot?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." It was because I did something for this one role that might not be the best fit, but they kind of felt like, "Okay, maybe I'll bring you in for this one other part instead." And
Mhm.
that's pretty much where how the ball just rolled from there.
Yes, absolutely. And back to what you were saying about how, you don't want to work with people that sugarcoat the business. That's really, really important. Um, it's I when pe- so there are people that contact me a lot, asking how do I get into voiceover, and because I've been in their shoes, I know exactly how what it feels like. I, you know, I want to give them all the good info I can. Sometimes I even overwhelm them with it, but it's just because I want to be brutally honest in a kind way. Yes, it's a lot of fun. Yes, you can make some money. Yes, it's super competitive. And yes, there are investments. It's not something to get into if you
Yeah,
expect to just make money back right away. You have to build up
yeah,
to it. And plus, with AI growing rapidly every single day, you need to be prepared for those consequences as well. And so many people aren't ready for that. And some don't even say thank you, when I give them all that information. But at the end of the day, I'd rather them learn it from me than learn it from someone who's going to scam them.
Yeah. And I mean, like, first off, I'm so sorry about the scamming coach and everything, which is
It
something else you got to watch out for.
It
But it
happens.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through a few scams, not just in voiceover, but, even with film and TV. But like I said, it also gave me the strength to be able to tell others this is what you look out for, and this is what you don't want to fall for. And then from there, hopefully they have that knowledge and they'll keep it with them. And if they end up getting in a situation, hopefully they'll be able to get out of it before it's too late.
Oh, yeah. That almost happened to me. Almost got scammed out of my bank account, but luckily though, I was able. I mean, after I completed the job, then that's when they started getting a little weird, and I was like,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I mean, it was a good learning experience. So thankfully, though, I haven't been. And also another thing too, this is something that I don't think I've really mentioned a lot on this show. Never be afraid to say no to something that makes you just feel, ooh, yeah.
Yes.
Like
I've been
personally,
at
yeah.
I've been asked to I was asked to narrate erotica, which I will not ever do.
Mm.
And the worst part, this was a legit book company. The worst part was they wanted me to do it in a young adult voice.
What?
Yeah.
That's all I can say. What?
Yeah, and I will not do that. Now, I've done
Yeah,
games, that have, violence and some things, like Diablo 4, but I am an actor first. And so, yes, I work on a lot of kids programs, but I've also, worked on a documentary show about I was in a episode of what's called Murder Made Me Famous, and it was about the Jim Jones cult. Um,
oh,
but I am an actor, and my job is to tell stories. But if something really just gets to my gut and says I just can't do it, I'm not going to do it. But there are some stories I want to help tell because, you know, the whole Jim Jones thing, that really happened. And there are still dangerous people out there like that. And so when I did that show, my thought was people need to know what to look for, what to be aware of so that they don't fall into that same kind of trap because what happened was beyond awful. And that's
yeah,
how I saw being part of that documentary.
yeah. Like personally for me, like I already mentioned, my faith and everything. Like I had to turn down roles that had, excessive amounts of profanity in there. Like, I'm not somebody that really curses or just uses strong language, like in my day-to-day life. So, if there's a character that is like, oh, and they also kind of rebuke the Holy Spirit or just kind of mock Christianity in a way, then I don't really do those. And I also don't really do projects that are like, look, I'm somebody that is I love animals, so and I just refuse to do projects that talk about cruelty or just or to just talk about just why it's good to eat, you know, yeah, just not go too much into
Yeah.
that. But
I
it's
admit, I'm a huge animal lover and I tried going vegan 3 times, just bringing this up because it is important to me. I do love animals and I've
yeah,
also been part of rescuing them. However, when I tried to go vegan my third time, my doctor pulled me aside and said, don't do that again because it wrecked my health. So unfortunately, I do have to eat animal protein. I'm not happy about it, but I um, I'm going to try and go vegan a fourth time at some point in my life because I do care. But my doctor pulled me aside and said it was damaging my health. And so unfortunately, I'm one of those really rare few that has to have some animal protein. I'm not happy about it, like I said,
yeah,
but I do love animals very much.
yeah. My sister is also like that too, where it's like she's not happy about having protein, but it's anything just to keep us just healthy. I mean, like, what? I'm I'm at a pretty good weight, but I don't really consume meat every single day,
That's good.
because I usually have fruit or bread in my stomach more than anything.
I had to see a nutritionist who told me to start
Yeah.
cutting down the carbs, not just for my weight, but
And it was,
because my iron was excruciatingly low. I became anemic, and I tried, relying only on vegetables. And he said, no, you need to have some protein, some meat in there too. So
yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because, like I said, I admire what you're doing. I admire what you said, but I love animals too, and I don't like the fact that I have to eat meat, but I do have to, unfortunately. And I just saw
Yeah.
those time left. There's like 3.5 minutes left.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
I'm just like just real quick, and I'm also starting to eat veggies, which is also really good. Like the five food just groups is yeah, because I was lactose intolerant, but now I'm eating cheese, I'm eating chocolate and
Mhm.
milk. I mean, yeah, still with dairy products, it's kind of
Yeah,
a
I
gray
love
area.
food. I love cooking. I
Yeah,
love
I love
baking, and
food. Yeah,
that's something else I want to, talk about, eventually. I'm, kind of working with a social media person, Heidi Dean. Many actors will have heard of her because she helps actors with social media. And so I'm learning, to maybe write down some things, to create videos. I want to, like I said, be creative with my voice, not just in animation games or dubbing or commercials, but to also create content and to actually put it out there. And I'm
yeah,
being hard on myself, unfortunately, because I care so much that it's good content. So
yeah.
I'm very slow at it, but it is something I want to do. And cooking is something I really do love talking
Yeah.
about.
I think we should start normalizing using social media for good. I mean, like, yes, it's good to share your opinions and everything, but let's just be
Yeah,
real. Politics and
I want to
real,
inspire.
yeah.
I want to inspire is what I want to do.
Yeah, it depends on how what you want to use it for.
Mhm.
So anything that you want to close us out on, since we kind of are
It's
running out of
hard to
time.
say. I mean, because I was really getting into this and just having these conversations, but we pretty much went over a lot of the things that I already do now. I I do want people to know that if they want to be in voiceover or acting or anything in the arts, you've got to step out of your comfort zone. I had to force myself to do it. Um, I blogged about video games years ago. It was just a small thing I did, but I went to E3 before it closed down. I went to GDC, which is one of my favorite conventions. I forced myself to go to those conventions because I didn't want to be at home and be afraid all the time. When I started forcing myself to try things I wasn't used to doing, like I was mentioning before, that's when doors opened. I got to know people. People got to know me. I started exploring things outside of voiceover and just, you know, I like having side hustles. I don't mind that, I teach yoga, a few times a week, and I'll do dinner theater shows on the weekend just to make a little bit of extra money, especially when things can be a bit dry. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Voiceover is full time, but I still have things I do on the side just because I enjoy them and because they can also be a little bit extra income. So less than a minute left, but um,
Yeah, yeah. And I bet people can find your socials, like when I include it, and
yeah,
it
of
includes
course.
everything on there and demos and everything. So I want to thank you so much for your time,
Thank you.
and I'm so sorry that we kind of had to like wrap it up on kind of abruptly. But regardless, thank you so much for watching Station Square. And until next time, have a good day and take care and and spread love, spread joy, and just be the light of the world. That's pretty much all
Absolutely.
I gotta say. God bless. Have a good rest of the
All
summer.
right. Bye, guys.
Take care. Peace.